Hey there, I'm Brett Monro, and this is another episode of BrettBeat. It is time to get on the beat, and this time we have the publishing queen of rock and roll, Sally Steele, in her house. In this case, it's not in the house; it is in your house. Yes,
leopard capture.
Well, Sally, it is great to have you on the show. One of the first things that I wanted to talk about was you as a teenager. Where did you get started in this love of all things rock and roll?
Well, see, I was a fat, lonely kid in Indianapolis, Indiana. I had no friends and I was alienated, but I read every hit parader, rock scene, every Cream magazine, and I said, there's something going on, man. It's like rock and roll. I listen to records. Being in the 70s, it's like people don't have the internet, just had these magazines. And this was in Indiana. I was a complete outcast, no friends. And, I said, oh, this band Kiss is coming in. I want to see these guys. So I had a promoter friend. Well, he became a friend, but I just showed up early one day, and I think it was Bush or Colt and REO Speedwagon and Aerosmith on the bill. I didn't know who Aerosmith was. And, and I just started, I had my little Kodak flash camera. I just started taking pictures of these people backstage, I have some amazing pictures. Most of them got stolen, and I still have a lot of them. But, it was just like, Kiss, and I was the only one back there, only one taking pictures. I'm like 13, 14 years old, let me take a picture. Oh, okay, now all you guys get together, And for years, people wondered, where did these pictures backstage at Kiss come from? And it was me taking them. And there's one where Gene Simmons is trying to put his hand on my shirt, and a roadie grabbed the camera, and I'm like, no, my mother's going to see this. He did not succeed. And no, I was not in Gene's Polaroid collection. So, it's this thing, everybody says, oh, that's Gene's girlfriend and I. But it's like, I know we're good at math. He would always, he goes, so how old are you? And I would lie, and he goes, well, you told me last time you were 17. Now you're 16 this year. I go, oh, yeah, it's just like, I didn't know, I just was trying to be older so I wouldn't be thrown out, or anything like that. But like, Paul would sit here, Gene would sit here, I'd show him all the pictures I took on stage. There was one time where, they had those big flash things going off, and I'm on stage taking on the road. He just grabs me and throws me aside because I just wandered around. I did whatever I wanted, at 14. So, wild kid, just so friends.
Well, was it a different time back then? Like, do you think it was easier to do that back then than it would be now?
Well, hell yes. You can't get backstage. Everybody's got, they're big security guys, and you got to go through 10 people just to get to the star. And it's just like, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I do have good relationships with a lot of rock stars. So, sometimes it's easy. I just will text them or their management and say, yeah, come on back. But yeah, I mean, back then, yeah, there was nobody backstage. It was just me. And it was, and I'm talking Black Sabbath. I have so much stories. Deep Purple, it's a funny story about Black Sabbath. But, I just put Rush. I fell in love with one of the roadies, and I just, would follow them around. I was kind of on tour with them, but I had to keep it from my grandfather because I was supposed to be in school. So, I played a lot of hooky. I don't know how I ever graduated.
So then at what point did you kind of think to yourself, I want my own music career?
I got tired of people saying oh, you're just a groupie of things. It's like, well, I'm going to get a guitar and I'm going to be in a band. So I started with drums and guitars and everything. So then I just started singing in local bands in Indiana, which there was hardly anybody, play in bands. But I did, and I eventually went to LA, and I, played on the Sunset Strip and cover bands on the weekends during the week, trying to be a movie star. And, then I did a lot of rock videos that people might have seen me in, other stars, and then I was just trying to make it on my own, and then I was constantly stressed out. I'm not famous. I'm telling myself I'm getting up at 6 a.m. I'm going to these movie studios, and God, it's just like, why don't I have a record deal? It's just like I auditioned for Star Search 3 times. They kept saying no. I mean, it was just impossible to get anywhere. It's not like today. It's like I could just have my own podcast like this. This is me. I want to be stoned. It wasn't like that. Everybody completely ignored me up until 2022 when Cleopatra Records, Brian Ferreira, he says, Sally, are these your videos and music from the 80s? I go, yeah. He goes, you want to know this? I go, yeah. because I'm like, God, you're like a lost treasure. And then, it started selling, on the music platforms, and they did a CD. It's like, the CD's done great. Let's do a record. I go like, oh, okay. Like, 35 years later, I just dug my cassette tapes out of the garage, entering any good back there. It's like, give them to Brian. Let's do something with them. So that was kind of a surprise. So I got a record deal, but 35 years later.
Yes.
It's my music from the 80s.
Yeah, because I was watching the videos, like Alone in Love and stuff like that. And I mean, and it's so, I mean, it's great because I mean, A, I love the music, and B, it's got that feel to it. It's got that era on it. And I mean, I love the Sunset Strip. It's one of the things that absolutely got me into music. It was just that the music completely spoke to me, and it is my time. And I wish that I could have been on the Sunset Strip as well. Yeah. And that's kind of why we do the graphic novel and the comics, so that we can actually, because we want to keep the Sunset Strip feeling alive without maybe the drugs and the debauchery fully alive.
What, make it boring? You mean you're not going to see Tommy Lee sniffing cocaine out of the Bible? What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I'm sure
everything back then, So, I mean, I did spend time on the Sunset Strip. And I remember one time I came out of and you were talking about bodyguards. And it was Warren record release party. And I went outside. I'm saving for the whiskey and Clark and in front of the whiskey. And some guy comes running to me. He's like, you got a pen? You got a pen? I'm just like, no, I was all jaded by then. It's like, no, and I did. I just didn't want to dig for my purse. And then here comes Jack Nicholson right there by himself, and he's like, and I'm just like, oh, hi, Jack, Hey, I should have given him a copy of my tape, anything, just like, but I didn't think it's like I thought, I see these people all the time. What do I need them for? I'm going to be like a really big star, and I'm going to make it on my talent. How stupid was I, that I didn't sleep around like everybody else. I was like this good girl. It's like, it's haunted me being a good girl in my life from Indiana. So never make it, never get anywhere. I worked at the Playboy. I was with the Playboy Mansion. I worked in the office for Playboy. But they like, you want to test? It's like, no, I don't take my clothes off for the strangers. But, I mean, I should have. I could have married Nikki Sixx or something, like, Brandy or something when he did it. But I was always like, but I can really sing. I'm great. I've really got talent. And I call my mother up and I go, why do I just can't make it. She said, well, because there's millions of other people trying to make it out there. But I have talent. Well, so do they. It's just they didn't know. Now she seems different. But yeah, so.
I remember Penelope Spheris's Decline of Western Civilization Part 2. And I just remember all the people talking in there. And she's like, well, what's the plan if you don't make it?
No
plan. They're like, no plan. It's just, I'm going to make it. I got the talent. We're going to make it. And so...
Are we stupid? Could have done a law school or something? No. But, yeah.
So then at what point did you kind of realize and say, cut the cord, we're gonna jettison out of this and move on to something else?
Well, nothing. In the 90s, it's like I got pregnant and okay, moved to Nashville, be a country singer, I didn't give up, it's just like I started combining country and rock, and then, oh, wait a minute, you're Shania Twain. Well, I was already doing that, so that didn't work. And I got stuck in Nashville, and then Big Way Too Long, and then I came to Vegas. I was just so desperate to get back to the West Coast, but I didn't want to go back to LA. So I came here to Vegas, and, I didn't really want to sing anymore. And then I dated this maintenance man who's like, well, I'm going to start a magazine, and how you going to do that? Oh, we're going to get a name. It's like, okay, I'll pay for that. And he's like, I go, well, how are you going to do that? Go, I'll let people have $35 for an ad, and then they can have the first month free. And I'm like, oh, okay. I said, well, I interviewed Alice Cooper in my limo. I even put that in. No, it's just going to be about local bands. I go, well, it's not going to be good. It's going to be what they got to say. I go, well, we'll mix them in with everybody. He didn't want to do it. Anyway, he got drunk. He moved away. We were engaged. I bought all this wedding stuff. He didn't show up for anything. And I went on my honeymoon alone with my 10-year-old daughter. And I'm like, bawling my eyes out like, oh, I could have been a great rock magazine person. I knew how to do all this stuff. And my 10-year-old, my mother, she's like licking these ribs and crab legs. She's not even listening, and I am weeping in my food. And my nine-year-old daughter, she just like, well, screw him. Why don't you do your own bag? And I'm like, oh yeah, I never done that. I'll just take what he told me to do. I'll do it. So it was impossible. So like we did 200 plus magazines, and it was work, deadline. And I had no idea how to do a magazine. I went to Kinko's. How do I start a magazine? They're like, well, you gotta like get graphics. What's that? You mean I gotta type all that stuff? Well, how am I gonna fill that thing? So, but I had a lot to say. So, but that's even more just sort of the magazine fate happened. But I didn't have any startup money, no experience. But I'm always a person that says be in charge of your own destiny and make your own breaks. So, the magazine was the only one in Vegas, and I covered local bands as well as, major artists, and then I did the award show, which, was, I guess, how I met you.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so I'm just interested, like, when you were starting up the magazine, like, how much of a struggle was it to get the contacts, to get to the next magazine, so that it's just, like, not just the same artists over and over again, that you're trying to build out and grow that, your artist base?
Well, I was just pretty persistent, and it wasn't that hard. My first magazine, I just bought a tape recorder and a camera before the Vans Warped Tour, and just started interviewing and taking pictures. And it really wasn't that hard, because there was a lot going on in Vegas, and the internet hadn't really taken over, because I started it in 2004. And, I was driving a limo during the day, and all night I just run the rock bag and write and fall asleep during the day at stoplights and pick up people, but that's another story. But, no, I was just so, back then, Motley Crue was always my favorite band. They were on the cover 5-6 times. And they were kind of the reason I wanted to bring together other people that loved Motley Crue. It's like in 2000, it's like, well, where are these people? There's got to be other people loving rock like me. And after Natural, it's like, screw that, which is another interesting story I will go into, an epiphany, who I have to go back to the West Coast. No, I just said, I'm going to just try to see where this magazine goes. And I got local advertisers, and it worked out, but it was just a heck of a lot of work. So, but yeah, as it went on and people actually saw that I had a legitimate print magazine with casinos in it, I pretty much, and I never put anybody on the cover that I couldn't get an interview of. So, everybody, Motley Crue with Judas Priest, Killers, and Scorpions, Steel Panther, everybody, Billy Idol, and yeah, it worked out. And then it got a little more difficult, I would say, around 2015, 16, 17. People were turning more towards, the internet for information, and even though I had a website and everything. So, yeah, and then I got interested in doing my documentary that we could talk about. But, yeah, so does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think, before we talk about the documentary, of course, the award show, like the magazine that spawned the award show. That seems like a crazy jump, but how did that leap occur?
Well, just no experience and not knowing what the hell to do. I was just in a meeting in the Hilton, and I just wish I could remember his name, the entertainment director, really nice man. I was there with Jerry Greenberg for a meeting about tribute bands, and I just says, could I just ask a question? I do an anniversary party for my magazine every year, but I'd like to do like a big award show, He just gets his calendar, like, well, when do you want to do it? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Where would it be? Oh, we'll do it at the showroom. I was like, oh, that's a lot of people there. And I was panicking. And then I was calling him every day. Come on, let's do it. Well, the union might shut us down. Well, how we're going to put it on anyway? So, and then, I had my friends, Lee, and then, Dee Slatter said, okay, I'm coming to get a good room for you. And then Lita came, who I'd recently become friends with, and then Flavor Flav, and then a lot of local bands, and then Lemmy was coming, and I'm like, and everybody go, Lemmy coming? Well, I want to come, so then other people want to come. And then I did another one, and the stars got bigger and bigger. And it was before anybody really cared about honoring 80s rock stars. You know, Vince Neil came the next year, and it was really exciting getting all these people together. And, you know, I didn't even have a network show. It was just here in Vegas, and we just filmed here and there. But yeah, and that was easy too. For some reason, but it's like now, if you started out, like people ask me all the time, you know, how to do a rock magazine? Good luck. Or how do I do an award show? Good luck. You know, I don't know what to know, because if you don't have that, you know, on my preview reel of my award show, I mean, I've got Sammy Hagar and, you know, David Coverdale and Scorpions, and I've already had those people. So I already had a 10-year jump start when everybody wanted to say, well, I want to do it. I have a podcast award show, because I've been interviewing people since, you know, 2004, you know, well, now 2008, since I started the video interviews. I was doing just phone interviews before that. But yeah, it's like youtube.com/Sally Steele, subscribe. So there, you can go to SallySteeleRocks.com. So we'll talk about that later.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, and I think that's exactly it. You almost fell into these things as, you know, just natural progressions of your life. No, I mean, I've often looked at life and said, like, when doors open, you have to be able and willing to walk through them. You seem like the kind of person who absolutely walks through those doors.
The doors that nope, I had to kick them down.
Wow.
And then come in with a crowbar. Nobody ever gave me a break. It was just me doing everything. And, you know, it was strange. It's like, well, I've never done a magazine. Oh, I'm going to do a magazine. Well, I've never done an award show. I need an award show now. You know, it was just like, I did it for the love of rock and roll. And I didn't make any money hardly from any of the shows or the magazine. It was a struggle all the time, but I loved what I was doing. And, you know, I'd been taking pictures of Star Studs 14, as I said. So I had all these skills that could already do a magazine. And, you know, I could host an award show. You know, I mean, I think the first show I did everything but tell people what to say. And they say, what do we say? I can just make it up going out there, you know. So it was frightening, but the first show was probably actually the most fun, you know. And I don't know why that was, but it just seemed like it just happened. It's like, well, I'm going to keep doing these, you know. So I've done 7 of them. I didn't do some for, you know, quite a few years because I was doing my documentary. But, yeah, but nothing's ever easy. And people do these award shows and these things, and it's just like, you know, well, and then I see canceled, they can't get together, but it's a lot of work, and it takes work around the clock. And, yeah, if somebody said to me, I heard he was like a rich dad, that's why you started a magazine. It's like, I wish, you know. No, I was working as a limo driver during the day and just trying to get a magazine out like every month. So, you know, but yeah, it's just a lot of hard work and, you know, passion about what you do. So.
Did you ever worry about what they thought of you, like in those early days where it's just like you're throwing things together and it's just like, what must these rock stars think of me in this moment? Did you worry
about the rock stars? You know, there was an interesting thing, like John 5, for instance. Like, I showed up Guitar Center in front of them, like, couldn't give me your email. I'm going to do an award show. And he just kind of blew me off like this crazy groupie-like chick, you know. And I was like, and then I invited him to my second award show. And then he started seeing it, and then he came to the one in 2012 on Access TV, and he's up there with Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony. And then he comes back to the one in 2014. Nicolas Cage was there and everything. So he began to see me as somebody that this wasn't some crazy wild shit, you know. I mean, when I first started the magazine, I went in the House of Blues, well, what's your name? But there was somebody there who's been fired. So it's good if you're in, he's all go away and, you know, they meet the new people. But I remember my magazine was just newspaper, and the lady there, she picks up the Las Vegas Weekly with all glossy, and this is a magazine. She picks up mine, the newspaper. This is a nothing magazine, and she drops it on the floor. And, you know, most people say, well, screw you, lady, but I was just very polite. I was, okay, well, thank you very much, you know. And I still sent cookies and everything. But I just realized I didn't tell people off, and eventually she left, and yeah, I can't even tell you the bad things that have been said about me, like, she's just some crazy groupie. They think that I got all these interviews and everything, and I know these rock stars because I'm sleeping with them. And there could be nothing for that. In fact, that just worked out beautiful for me, because the rock star's past girlfriend and the new one, I'm welcome, because they know that, I'm older, but they know that it's just business with me and their man, and I'm not, there was never any monkey business going on. So they're like, oh yeah, come on in, and cover it. So, that actually worked in my favor. And the funny thing is, except for one, there's never been a rock star that I was ever attracted to. I didn't want to be with a rock star. I wanted like a guy that's going to be in town, like I can listen to me fish all the time, help me with this, work around the house. But, we won't get to that. But anyway, is that your question?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard so many things. It's like, it's so mean what people have said. I won't even go into it, but I can tell you some funny things. I just laugh at the, see that car out there, that is Sally Steele, got more mileage on her in the car. It's just like, did these people not realize that, I couldn't even get a date for 5 years, I mean, it's just like, you can't judge a book by your cover. And if you look at my IMDb page, it's got Sally Steele, 1984, this movie, groupie, 1986, groupie. It's just like, I looked the part, but I was also, rock singer. And that was, a lot of the way I looked. But yeah, I do look like the groupie, but, I'm Sally Steele. I'm a singer, entertainer, public figure, so I'm always a little bit flamboyant. That's just the way I've always been, so. But yeah, there's been a lot of unkind things said. Sometimes I laugh at it, but, other times it's like, really?
Well, I guess now, especially in the age of the internet, when, unkind is the word of the day.
Yeah, there's a lot of haters out there, for sure.
Yeah, and it's it's brutal. And
if people still producing something, they're going to be jealous. Anytime that somebody produces, like you did, a magazine, like, well, that sucks, or they're just quick to judge my last award show, and I was nervous how to do this last award show, and because it's like, well, how am I going to top Scorpions and Twisted Sister? I can't do that. And then, I'd called up Kip Winger and Ricky Rocket, and okay, yeah, I'll come. It's like, okay, well, I got them, but that's still not enough. And then at the last minute, Billy Gibbons is coming, really? It's like, are you sure? Okay, great, we'd love to have him. If I got he's for and then, she was like, Rick Nielsen. I had to go to the back door. I'm going, why, a Cheap Trick, and it's just like, okay, we're on. I got big stars, and then more people's like, Five Finger Death Punch came in at the last minute. Then Orianthi came in and was like, I got to make more trophies. It's just like, it was a lot of work, but, and it takes me, I'm ready for the nut house after those shows. It's so much stress because everything's got to funnel through me. And everybody picks the day out to text me that they don't have tickets or a pass. Well, Billy Gibbons will expect me there. He's my buddy. It's just like, I don't have time to get back to these people, so, yeah, the award shows have been as successful with Big Star showing up. We don't make a lot of money, we try to get as many sponsors as we can, and I appreciate the ones that have come in, but, it's not a money-making thing, people, you're being disappointed, so.
So then to try to also not make money, you decided to make a documentary.
Yeah, that started off, I met Rocky Burnett by chance, and we started talking on the phone, and I learned the amazing history of his family that influenced Elvis and started rockabilly, and that he was the generations after generations were fighting. And I said, well, his cousin was Billy Burnett, who he grew up with, who was in Fleetwood Mac for 9 years. And I said, well, you guys will talk? Because Rocky Burnett had a huge #1 hit in the 1980s. He goes, no, we don't speak. So I tried to get, like I mentioned, everybody together and build rock history. And because I didn't know about the Rock and Roll Trio, But on Pawn Stars, I saw that they go, this album of the Rock and Roll Trio, this is the holy grail. This will go for about $8,000 to $10,000 because none of them are there. But so some people knew about the Rock and Roll Trio, but not on the film, schedule. But it started out as a real serious, dramatic thing, and then Gary Busey was friends with Rocky and Billy, and he played drums for Billy, and so I got him involved in the film, and it was just pandemonium and chaos from then on. It was just like, I showed up in Malibu to interview him, and he's like, he's like, good. Do you know there's aliens buried under the pyramids? Oh, come on, I got to see the show right now. There's show because he's watching that. Let me get this camera equipment set up fast enough, and then. And then I said, well, can you come out to, we're going to honor Billy. Would you like to give your friend Billy Burnett an award? So he really, oh, yeah, I'd love to be there. So I flew him out. I paid him some money, per diems and those things. I couldn't pay him a lot. And then when we were doing the red carpet, he just has a breakdown in front of all the cameras. It's like, well, I need $500. I go, let's talk about it. No, we're going to talk about it right now. I go, well, I don't have money on me right now. I mean, it's all in the documentary. So it kind of became, I didn't know what was going to happen in this documentary. So it's Raised on Rock, the Burnett Family Legacy. It's on Amazon Tubi, Google Play, and YouTube. You got to check it out because it starts off serious, but it's very entertaining and it's very funny. So
it sounds pure rock and roll.
Yeah.
Because, any of the rock stars that we've met, they tend to be pretty scattered. It's that creative, brain that they have going on where, it's like you could be going one direction and then they're immediately suddenly like, whoa, I got to go in this direction.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to get it.
Focus is difficult.
Yeah.
Even it just like constant focus on the documentary, but I really wanted to make the jump from, print and award show to film and television, which, I'm also going to be pitching my sitcom to the streaming company. So, that's something else that I've got, fish on the lines. Like, well, I've never done it before, but I'm going to do it. Another one of Sally Steele's wild, crazy projects. So
I think that's what I love about you, though, is that you just jump in and just
doing first.
Yeah.
All of these things I've done, it was like jumping off a cliff and learning to fly really fast, and even like I would talk to people about the documentary. I went to the AFM American Film Market trying to get, a distributor. It's like, well, this is Dick Clark's footage. He's not going to let you use this. Well, I'm going to go down and talk to Dick Clark Productions. Why would they let you use it? But, it was just things like that. It turned out they didn't have the footage. I was using Rocky Burnett's VHS tapes from 1981, and they're like, okay, we'll let you do it, and you still have to pay us. So, I paid them a good price, but it was less than what they charged. So, everybody's going to tell you no about anything. And it's just like, I just don't really listen to that. I'm so headstrong and bullheaded. I'm going to plow through there and do what I want. Don't tell me anything. I don't care how much it costs, and for I know I'm moving out of $1 million home into a smaller home because, all these projects I got are costing me a fortune. So, because I'm never good at asking for money. It's like, hey, dear, so-and-so, because I want to keep the friendship. I don't want to borrow money from anybody. So that's not a good thing.
No. Well, we're super happy that you decided to, mention something about Crashing Wayward in our Tales from the Strip featuring Crashing Wayward. So what is it about Crashing Wayward that kind of, piqued your interest?
Well, it's like I said in the booklet. I was looking for one band. I've known Stacy David Blades for so many years and followed his other projects. I knew him from when he was in LA Guns. And, I'd always see him, and hey, and I go, well, he's in it, so, let me check it out. So I went down to Vamp that night, so I went backstage, and Stacey was supposed to introduce me to Peter, which he didn't do. He was like, hi, I'm Sally Steele. Did he tell you I was coming? And I don't even think I told him about the award show that night. I think it was just more, it's like, I want to feel these guys out. And as soon as I met Peter, it was just like, you know, it's like, I don't know what it was. It was just like this calm, sweet person. And he wasn't egoed out. And I was even watching him after the shows. Like, it's this guy, you know, going around picking up chicks. He just staring there really nice, you know, signing something. Just, he was very personal. I go, well, these guys are going to be nice about it. Because I've dealt with a lot of egos and things like that. Like, at least they're going to be nice. So I don't think they knew at that time why I was meeting them, but it came up pretty fast after Nick Peter. It's just like, you know, I want to feature one Vegas rock band, best Vegas rock band, be in my show, perform a song, you know, I'll give you guys an award. Didn't charge it for anything, you know, like people were criticizing me for years. And, you know, and I'm just thrilled that they were doing it because I think that was like, you know, that was like one of the high points of the show. And they had there was a lot of great people that were performing. I only had like 5 performances. So, you know, but yeah, I'm really happy. And don't forget to buy me a Corvette, Peter. I said that as a joke. I saw him downtown. I go, yeah, I'm so sure you're going to be a rock star. Buy me a Corvette. And he goes, I will. And he texted me the other day, like, the Corvette still? Yes. I go, okay. I love cars. My next one is going to be a Jaguar, but I don't have Corvettes. I've never even driven a Corvette. But yeah, I do love those guys, and I really hope they do well because they deserve it. They're very talented. Yeah, and I believe in Stacy and Peter, and you know they got good players behind them. All great guys. You know, they're all really nice. So
Well, for sure, and just on stage, they're spectacular. I mean, they just the energy and stuff like that, and I think. You have seen so much live music. I mean, you know, how does their energy rate compared to some of the other biggest bands that you've seen, you know, over the years?
Well, it's all different. I mean, I think their energy has what it takes. I mean, you know, every band's exciting and energetic when they're coming up in the ranks, you know, and then 4 years later, they're just... So they still got a long way to go because they're young. But, yeah, I mean, you know, I remember... You know, the Killers, going to see them when they were, you know, their album had just come out and I saw them and I was just so impressed by Brandon, you know, and his music. And I remember I interviewed him in their rehearsal studio. They were working on the Sam's Town, their second album. And I was so intimidated. And he just kind of backing away from me. I was there with my daughter, like, what do you think about this? You know, I was like, come out there, record. And he's just kind of like, you know, this lady's like, you know, but he was very sweet. I was very happy for them. So, you know, I hope the same works for Crash and Wayward as Imagine Dragons and Imagine Dragons, like when they would play anywhere. In fact, we booked them at one gig and it's just like they all sat on the table. You know, the Mormon religion, nobody drank a thing. The bar didn't make any money. They just sat there with a Coke, you know, they were quiet and everything. But you know, I'm happy for them, you know. I love all those bands. And, you know, I think Crashing Wayward has great material. And that's the main key is having great songwriting. So, you know, so keep my fingers crossed they'll do good. Because I want that Corvette now.
Yeah, well, people can blame you.
I'm running out of space in my drives. That is, I got 3 cars out there.
yeah.
I don't even wear it with the Jaguar. The garage is full.
You just need to build an addition on top, you know?
Something, yeah, an elevator, brick cars, stack them on top of each other.
Well, Sally, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been great.
Yeah,
and
I'm sorry I talk too much.
Oh.
I have way too many stories.
Well, I love stories, but I mean, you don't talk too much at all. I mean, it's awesome. Like again, I really appreciate your passion for music, and just your passion for and willingness to dive into things, because I think that by itself is a skill, and that is, you know, an important skill that so many people just, you know, they never get out of life. I think that too many people just go through their lives, you know, like plodding day-to-day existence.
Yeah, it's like, I want to do a movie, and I'm thinking about it, just like, by then I've already filmed everything. You know?
Yeah.
Can you hand me that DVD on the and cable ISS? I just want to do a little preview.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, this is, you know, it's also on DVD. I think Walmart has them, too. It's online. You can get it on my Amazon, Raise and Lot, The Burnett Family Legacy. You won't be sorry when you watch this. You can watch it on Amazon, and It's on Tubi, and anybody who's ever watched it just is thrilled with it because it's just not like the usual documentary. And so watch this, and don't forget youtube.com Sally Steele /Sally Steele. I've only got 3,000 subscribers. Come on, I've interviewed everybody in the world from San Diego to Alice Cooper. Subscribe to my channel, please. Or go to SallySteeleRocks.com. You can find out everything about me. VegasRocks.com.
That's right. Well, and I tell everybody, they need to support you
Okay.
because, well, you're awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll subscribe to each other's channel.
Perfect. I like it. Yes, the Mutual Admiration Society.
Thank you for coming to my house today.
Well, thank you for having us. It's wonderful. It's been great to kind of walk down memory lane with you. And honestly, we're wishing nothing but the best in the future, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Krista and Brett. Thank you. I wish you luck with some of those.